sedentary lifestyles. I work in an office, so I sit at my computer quite a lot. And you can try to kind of counteract that with exercise. As I say, I'm not the biggest fan of exercise, but we do sit down a lot longer than we used to in the past. And I think that's got a lot to do with it.
I think the fast food diet as well really does help with that.
Definitely, and also maybe just that people are living longer, there are more pollutants, so it's probably, again, it's a combination rather than a single factor, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely not. I think I've been diagnosed with things that I definitely don't have when I've done that.
Yeah.
I think you can use some research tools online, say with the NHS or actual pages where doctors are posting on maybe, but I think it could be quite dangerous.
Yeah, you end up in a kind of spiral, don't you? You say, oh, I've got a pain in my hand, and then at the end of it you think you're going to lose your arm, you know. I think it can be really useful for if you have a chronic condition and you're really suffering and you have a community of support, but for self-diagnosis it's dangerous. Jo, do you do that much?
I really try and stay out of it. My sister's a doctor, actually,
Okay.
and so that's useful because I can often just give her a call. She's my GP on the phone, but also it means that I know the training that she went through. I know how many years she studied and all that expertise. And for instance, I just think if I were to just type something into a search engine, I just wouldn't necessarily get useful or relevant or validated information. So I would err towards going to a doctor, definitely.
But on the other hand, I think it is great that there is so much information online that we can access, and that could be a healthy thing, that we have the information at our fingertips. I would say so. I think with the internet and social media, and even with fast food, everything is so quick nowadays. I think that could be quite damaging to mental health. With, say, anxiety or depression, I think I've read research recently that feeds into that.
It's been in the news a lot, hasn't it? Mental health, and trying to put that on a par, I guess, offer parity to physical health as well. Just as you physically need to stop, I think mentally you need to stop as well, and probably everybody can relate to a time maybe where they've been exhausted after work or after a long day, and actually you just need to be, you just need to not do anything. So maybe it's our responsibility, for instance, to take time and make sure that we try and give ourselves time to have that space.
And switch off.
Easier said than done, though.
Absolutely.
I think mental health is a big one, and also with the elderly, dementia and
definitely.
Alzheimer's, things like that.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I read a newspaper article just this morning saying that diabetes now accounts for 10% of the NHS budget in the UK.
Wow.
And so stuff like this is just, it's a chronic condition, and it's going to keep kind of expanding and taking up more of doctors' time and things like that. So there's many, many things which are growing, and we need to think about how we can counteract that with lifestyle changes as well as with medical interventions. I think I'd like to see more antibiotics which will help us kind of fight these diseases which have become resistant to the major antibiotics that we have. And the medicines of last resort are now no longer effective in many cases, and that's terrifying. So I'd like to see a return to antibiotic research. Jo, what about you?
I think maybe mapping genes or genetic mapping, and then being able to offer tailored drugs for an individual rather than just a drug that is prescribed to many different people but on the same dosage or whatever that might be. So that could be really interesting, almost like bespoke drugs for you specifically. Be interesting whether that's 10 years or it might be a bit further down the line, but ultimately scientific research feeding into kind of pharmaceuticals and also other ways of making sure people stay healthy and can be cured of disease that they have.
Well, at the end of the day, surely it's a good thing that life expectancy is going up, but then I think it does have a negative impact on, say, population, and then that has lots of ripple effects with housing and inflation. So I think it does have both positive and negative effects on the country.